you can see my whole 2-year career in eBay right here on the screen. But it's been a really good adventure. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been beneficial to my pocketbook as well. Hello and welcome to eBay with Chris. My name is Chris, of course. In today's video, I'm going to show you all of my numbers for the year 2024. We're going to look at my eBay reports. We're going to look at my sales chart. We're going to look at my P&L, my profit and loss statement. I also have some other charts to show you as well. I had a lot of fun diving into the numbers for this video, and it's really helped me identify some opportunities in my business. So it's really a great exercise. I highly recommend it, that you go through all of your numbers, you look at all the data that you can, and you just try to figure out how your business is doing. Is it going in the direction that you want it to go in? Remember, it's your business. This is my business. I can operate it the way I want to operate it. You can operate your business the way you want to operate your business. It's totally up to you. But in my opinion, I do have some opportunities for areas of improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those as well. And for those that don't know, I started selling on eBay in January of 2023. So 2023 was my first full year in business. 2024 was my second full year in business. So I'm going to do some year-over-year comparisons. I am primarily a used clothing seller. I have sold a couple other items outside of the used clothing category, but that's my primary income. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into the numbers. This will be fun. Okay, here we have my report, as you can see, for January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024. Can you believe 2024 is already done with? I can't. It went really fast. Well, I had overall a pretty good year. As you can see, my total sales, $62,549.93. That is up 121.6% from the prior year, which means I more than doubled. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my 2023 numbers here and compare it in a few minutes, but let's look at these first. My overall selling cost, $23,773, or 38% of my total sales. Just so you know, this number includes not only my eBay fees, which are around between 13 and 14% of my sales, but it also includes my shipping fees, because I do pretty much all of my shipping through eBay. We'll go ahead and look at the breakdown of my selling costs, but it was 38% of my total sales. And then my net sales, or what eBay paid me, was $35,454.51. That's what actually landed in my bank, roughly that amount, give or take. It was a little bit different when you look at my P&L. It will be off by a couple $100, because when I do my P&L, I'm actually reporting on what landed in my bank during the calendar year. This is what eBay says that they paid me. The payouts kind of vary a little bit. So anyways, $35,454. That's pretty good net sales. I'm pretty happy with that. That's not profit, of course. We'll look at my P&L and you'll be able to see my profit. Now, how many items did I have to sell to get that? Wow. 2,494 items. That's a lot. I was actually surprised when I saw that number. Pretty good volume, I think, for me. Again, this is my second year in business. I have roughly around 3,000 units in my store. I'll show you a chart later, but at the beginning of 2024, I had around 1,000 units in my store, and I ended the year with 3,000 units in my store. I actually ramped up pretty quickly by, I think it was July or August. I had about 3,000 units, and then I've stayed steady since that point. And the quantity sold, you can see, up 195%. So basically up almost 200%. Wow. So almost tripled. Is that right? Am I reading that number right? Wow. Yeah, I think because my number last year was about 800 items sold. So we'll do a comparison here in a second. My average sales price per item did go down 25%. It was $25.08 per item. It did go down, and that's one of the numbers, or one of the trends I don't like. You're going to see that here in some of my charts as well. So let me go ahead and pull up my 2023 numbers so we can compare those. Okay, here we go. I added the 2023 report at the bottom here. At the top, I have the 2024 report. So as you can see, my total sales in 2024, 62,500. And my total sales in 2023 were 28,000. Yeah, so I more than doubled. Doubling would have been around 56,000. So I more than doubled. Pretty proud of that. That's exciting. My selling cost went from $23,000 in 2024. They were less than 10,000 in 2023. In 2023, it looks like it was 35% of my total sales. In 2024, it was 38% of my total sales. I think that was because I actually made less money on my shipping. I kind of tightened up my shipping so that I was basically breaking even or making a little bit of money. When I first started out, I was using a different shipping method, and so I was actually making a lot more money, but it probably actually impacted the number of sales I got because my shipping was a lot more expensive than some of my competitors. Here's my eBay payout for the year, $35,000, and compared to 2023 of $16,000. The total items sold, 2,494 compared to 844 the prior year. So basically, yeah, I tripled the number of items that sold, but barely more than doubled in my total sales, and more than doubled in my net sales as well. And here's why. Average sales price per item in 2024, $25. In 2023, $33.44. So my average sales price went down by $8, over $8 per item. Wow. And that's my opportunity right there. I basically started sourcing more low dollar volume items. I was trying to basically get more volume to increase my store. And that has helped because I definitely have a lot more income. However, I'm working harder for that same amount of money. So I definitely need to go back and only source things that are more expensive or that I can sell at a higher price. And that will be less work for me, but also more profit, assuming I'm at the same volume of items sold. So there's one opportunity right there, and you'll probably see a theme of that throughout this entire video. And yeah, so let's go ahead and scroll down to my chart. Okay, so here's my sales chart for the year 2024. I also included a picture or a snip of my 2023 sales chart. You can see pretty good growth in 2024. I started out with about $2,500 in sales, 2420 right there. Increased a little bit to February, and that's really when I decided to ramp things up. At that point, I decided, you know what? I need some help. I want to list like over 500 items per month, and that requires a lot of work. So what I did is I found a listing service. It's actually a small company out of the Philippines, and they really helped me. Basically, I would upload pictures. All I have to do is source items, take pictures, and I would upload them, and then they would fill out the listing, return the drafts back to me, and then I would go ahead and review the draft, maybe tweak the title just a little bit, make sure everything else looked good, and put the price in and make it go live. So for me, that really worked out a lot. It saved me a lot of time. You'll see the cost of that in my profit and loss statement, but that was what really helped me grow. If you're really interested in a listing service, I would highly recommend them. I do have a link below. You can go ahead and check them out and contact Lee. She is the owner of the business, and she will explain everything and get you started. If you really want to ramp up your business, I would highly recommend it. I did that probably for about 8 months of the year last year. Right now, I'm maintaining the level of my business while I work on other stuff. For example, the construction of my house that was flooded here in Florida. But probably in another month or two, I'm going to ramp up again, and I'm going to get together with Lee and her team and really just crank out the listings and go from maybe like 3,000 where I'm currently at up to 5,000, something like that. That could be my next goal. But anyways, here you can see I went up to $2,800 in sales and then $4,500 in sales in March. April was pretty similar, about $4,800. And then I had a really great month in May, $7,200 in sales. Wow. I just like, whew. That was an awesome month. June, I did a little drop to 6,200. July was 7,200. August, 62. You can see, what was this? September was 66. Around this time is where I leveled off. I really slowed down my listings. I had a bunch of other things going on. And then in October, I dropped to 54. Actually, in August, I took the whole month of August off. like 3 weeks of August. I did a road trip across America from Seattle to Florida and back. We stopped at several national parks. It was really a great time, but I still had $6,200 in sales that month. I had someone go to my home 3 times a week and ship out all of my orders, so I was able to keep my store open. It was a really great opportunity for me to get away and still have really good sales. Then in September, $6,600, October, $5,400, November, $7,100 in sales. This actually includes $1,000 of 2 camera lenses that I sold. So really my clothing sales that month was about $6,100. And again, in October and November, I was gone for a couple weeks each one of those months. So my sales kind of dipped. I wasn't listing new items really at all. My store plateaued. And then in December is when I moved to Florida from the state of Washington to the state of Florida. And obviously that month I didn't have much sales because my store was shut down for, I think it was 18 days, if I remember correctly, from December 2nd through December 20th. And I had a total of $1,600 in sales that month. So overall, I mean, a pretty good year. I'm pretty happy with it. But you can see my growth my first year of 2023. I started out with just a couple $100 in sales. I think it was around $500. Then February about the same. And then March, I jumped up to $2,000 for March, April, May. And I was stuck in the $2,000 to $3,000 range for almost the entire year. In November of 2023, I did sell a $1,000 bicycle. So really my numbers there are a little bit skewed, but November was still a really good a really good month for me for sales of clothing items. If you take out the bicycle, I believe I sold about $4,000, maybe $3,800 in clothes that month. And December was around $2,000 again. So you can see my whole 2-year career in eBay right here on the screen, but it's been a really good adventure. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been beneficial to my pocketbook as well. Let's go ahead and look at the selling costs. That's the next screen if you continue to scroll down. Okay, so here's my selling costs for the year 2024. You can see my total selling cost, $23,773. My eBay fees, my final value fees right here, which typically range from 13 to 14%, was $8,347. And let's go ahead and pause real quick and let me calculate what that actual percentage was. If you take that number of $8,347 and divide it by my total sales of $62,000 plus, it came up with 13.34%. So my final value fees from eBay, 13.34%. I also had a total ad fees of $473. I did experiment for a couple weeks with this priority ad fees, and that is a pay-per-click. You can see right here, fees charged when your item is clicked via promoted listing priority. I had a bunch of clicks and like one sale, and so that is a waste of time. At least for my experience, it was $127 spent just to get one sale. Not worth it. So that was a waste of money. I also have older items that are promoted just to try and get them in front of people and hopefully get some sales. And so I spent $346 on those ad fees, which is basically a drop in the bucket compared to my sales. So pretty happy with that. International fees, $19. Some transaction credit fees, that's probably returns and things like that, $312. And of course, my store or my subscription fees, $651 for the year. Shipping labels cost me $14,586. I'm curious, was that more or less than what the customers paid? Let's go ahead and scroll up here and see if I can find that number. Shipping and handling, the customers paid $16,627, and I paid $14,586. So I made roughly $2,000 just on shipping and handling fees. So total selling cost, $23,773 for the year. Okay, so next I wanted to show you my eBay payout. And so what I'm doing here is I'm showing you both of my sales chart on top and an eBay payout that I created with an Excel spreadsheet. And I've had some people in comments ask me, hey, Chris, do you sell your spreadsheets and your charts? And the answer is no. The reason is they are just thrown together. I do have a few spreadsheets that I keep track of things. For example, mileage, cost of goods, monthly P&L. I just kind of keep track of some things like that, but they're just thrown together and nothing that would be useful for anyone else, honestly. And also I throw together some charts to do things like this video. So that's what this one is created from. But I did want to compare my eBay payout to my total sales. They should look very similar as far as the charts going up and down, and in this case they do. But you can see in, let's see here, in January, my total sales were $2,400 and my eBay payout was roughly $1,300. And then in February, $2,800, my eBay payout was just under $1,700. Big jump in March to sales of $4,500 and my eBay payout was $2,713. So you can see the trend. My eBay payout in April, $28. In May, which is my biggest month and a great payout, $4,315. Man, I need to get back up to that point where I'm bringing in $4,000 a month. That would be great. And then my eBay payout in June with sales of $6,200. My eBay payout was $3,500. July, my eBay payout was $4,100. August, $3,600. September, $3,400. October, $2,900. November, $4,100. Again, I did sell $1,000 worth of camera lenses that month, so that really helped my eBay payout that month. Added roughly $800, I believe, in payout. So my payout of just close in November would have been around $3,300. Then, of course, in December, when my store was closed for 18 days, my eBay payout was only $761 on sales of $1,600. So a light month there. Let's go ahead and look at some other charts. These are fun. Okay, so this next chart I wanted to show you is the total number of items sold every single month. And this will relate pretty well to the total sales that eBay has in those charts I showed you previously. As you can see, I had lower numbers here in January and it ramped up really quickly. And that is because I was listing like crazy. Like I said, I think it was in February that I started listing roughly 540 items every single month. 500 was my goal, but I typically did around 540. It was, 560 items per month. I was listing 140 per week, basically 20 a day. And then, you times that by 4 and you got 560 items were being listed every single month. So I was really cranking it. But I had the help of my friends at Thrive.ph. Once again, they are a listing service. They help you list items and they actually will assign you a lister, your own lister. So you basically work with that person. And the person I worked with was really great. I would give her feedback on listings and then she would actually make improvements as she created future listings. So we worked really well together. They were a really helpful part of my overall growth. But as you can see, the items sold in January started out at 90, then 117, and then really started ramping 170, 186. Then in May, my big month, 297 items. I was selling almost 10 per day, and that is actually where I want to be. I want to be selling 10 items per day. And if I get a profit of $10 per item, that is $100 a day, basically, in my pocket. So $3,000 a month. That's where I want to be. $3,000 profit per month would be great. I would love that. And then in June, I dropped a little, 265 items sold, July 292, August 248. That's the month that I was gone for the basically 3 weeks of the month on a road trip. September, 269 items. And then in October, 217, November, 275. Both October and November, I was gone for about 2 weeks out of each one of those months as well. And then in December, my store was completely closed for 18 days, and I only sold 68 items. And honestly, December, I remember in 2023 was a pretty slow month for me as well. So even if I had been open those additional 18 days, I probably would have sold maybe 200 items, not much more than that, if that at all. So let me go ahead and compare the items sold to the actual number of items in my store. That'll give you a good idea of how many items you need in your store in order to get this kind of volume. Okay, so as you can see up here in the top right, I went ahead and added my store size by month and kept the items sold chart and put that in the bottom left here. So my store size, as you can see, in January was roughly 1,300 items in my store, and it ramped up very quickly. February, March, April, I was adding, like I said, I was listing over 500 items. Subtract, the couple hundred items that sold every single month, and I was basically growing my store by roughly 300 items per month. So pretty substantial growth. And you could see, I believe, what month was it? July, I finally broke the 3,000 number, which was a big deal for me. That was actually my goal when I decided to go ahead and ramp up my store. I said I need to hit 3,000 items. And then I think it was September, I had around 3,500 items. And then I really haven't been listing very much at all for the last 4 months of the year. So my store has dropped basically due to my sales down to roughly around 3,100 items at the end of December, which is kind of where I'm at right now. I think my store is 3,000, a little over 3,000 items, and I haven't listed much in January either. Yeah, by the way, if you're interested in looking at my store, I do have a link below, so go ahead and check that out. Also, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, right? So the big lesson learned here for me, if you want more sales, you got to ramp up your store. You have more items in your store, you're going to get more sales. That's just a fact. And that's why everyone talks about, all the other YouTubers are always talking about listing every single day, have a consistent listing habit. Now, I don't have a consistent listing habit and I still get good sales. For example, I haven't listed much in the last 4 months and still I'm getting decent sales. Still, I'm bringing in a $3,000, $4,000 eBay payouts, not quite $4,000, let's say $3,000 in eBay payouts, except for December, of course. And I'm pretty happy with that. So build up your store. It's a lot of work in the beginning to build up your store. It's a lot of work to ramp up your store. But once it gets to a certain level, sales just continue to come in, even if you're not listing very much. That's my experience. And that's one thing I like about the eBay business is I can walk away from doing the listing and just ship out items every single day. Now, gradually, of course, sales will kind of decline and you're going to have to continue to replenish with inventory if you want to do that. But you can be in a maintenance mode for a certain period of time in your business and still bring in income. And that's one great thing that I learned. Like, for example, life happens. I am in the middle of rebuilding a house that got flooded by Hurricane Helene, and I don't have a lot of time to source. I don't have a lot of time to list, but I'm still bringing in some side income with my eBay business. So that's, for me, that's a great benefit of selling on eBay. Okay, so I was really curious about my average payout per sale. We've looked at my eBay payout per month, right? We looked at the number of items that I sold per month. And so all I did is I divided my eBay payout in dollars and divided that by the number of items that I sold every single month. And that gave me an average payout per sale. And this is an indication of my profit per sale as well. And we're going to go ahead and look at my overall profit and loss statement as well as my overall profit per sale here at the end of the month and see how I did. But this is my average payout per sale on an average per month. And you can see there is a downward trend. When I did this chart, I didn't really know what to expect. And when the numbers popped up, I'm like, wow, this is a concerning trend and I don't like it. I definitely need to reverse this trend right here. And if you consider my cost of goods per sale, my cost of goods in 2024 was $1.50 or $1.51, something like that. That's how much it cost me to buy the item. And then additional expenses. We'll look at my expenses for the year, but my expenses per sale are roughly an additional $1.50 or $2. So you could subtract from each one of these numbers right here, you could subtract about $3 and that will give you my typical profit per sale. So For example, I just noticed here in my chart that I included the month of December 2023. So additional data, right? So in December of 2023, my payout per sale was $18.49. So I got a profit of roughly $15 per sale, which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And then January, it really dropped. It dropped to $15.48 per sale. February was $14.42, March $15.96. You can see the trend here. $15.55 in April, $14. Then in June, $13.39 per sale, which meant my profit was dropping close to $10 per sale. That's okay. I'm pretty happy with that still. That's my goal, actually, is to get at least $10 profit per sale. However, the trend is going down. July, $14 payout per sale, August, $14, and then in September, ouch, $12.64 payout per sale. That is probably an average profit per sale of $9, maybe, $9-ish per sale. Yikes. October, $13.38, once again, about $10 profit per sale. November, $14.94, and December, even though I had a small month, only $11.19 payout per sale, or a profit of roughly $8. So this is a very concerning trend right here. I need to get my average payout per sale up. I need my average profit per sale to go up. I need my average selling price to go up. We already talked about that. It went from $33 in 2023 to $25 in 2024, a drop of $8 or 25%. That is not good. So that's definitely a trend that I need to turn around and make it happen quickly. Okay, and finally, here is my profit and loss for the year 2024. Now, this is not exactly what I'm going to be reporting to the IRS because I do have additional write-offs. For example, I have utilities I'm going to write off, my cell phone I'm going to write off, I have mileage I'm going to write off. But basically, this is my my P&L for my payout, for my eBay payments, and all of my business related expenses outside of things like home office, utilities, mileage, things like that. So this is my rough profit and loss statement. So my eBay payouts, $35,969. Now that's a couple $100 off of what I showed you earlier on the eBay report, because I just go off of what hits my bank in the calendar year. So when I was looking at my bank account, this is what actually landed in my bank in the calendar year of 2024, $35,969. The cost of goods that I purchased for resale, $5,594. Let me look and see how many items I actually purchased during the year. I can't remember. Let me go ahead and pause real quick and pull up that number. Okay, so I found that number, and I actually purchased 3,640 items in the year 2024. 3,640 items. And let's see here. Once again, that cost me $5,594. On the same chart with my cost of goods, I also have my mileage tracked, and I was just curious. So I drove 5,800 miles sourcing for eBay. How many miles did you drive in 2024 sourcing for eBay? So let's go ahead and dive into my expenses. So office equipment, I spent $251 on office equipment, and that was probably stuff like printer labels, things like that. Shipping outside of eBay, like I said, I do all of my shipping within eBay. I probably had to ship 1 or 2 items outside of eBay, so it cost me $10. Software, I spent $321, and this was primarily my VPN and a couple other things. I can't exactly remember what dropped into that bucket right here while I'm making the video. I did spend $900 on labor. Now, this was for one employee that would come to my house in the month of August, and she would come to my house 3 times and just ship out products while I was gone for 3 weeks on my road trip across the U.S. Paid her a couple $100 for that. Also, I paid my teenage daughter a few $100s when she was here over the summer. She was taking pictures for me, so that was really helpful. She took pictures for several weeks, and I paid her as well. I also paid my listing services $3,284 during the year of 2024. Let's see, and I'm trying to think how many listings they would have done for me. They were doing this, I believe it was 8 months. So they would have done about 3,500 listings, something like that for me during that time period. So it's very economical. They are very good priced. So I would encourage you to check out thrive.ph. The link is below if you want to check them out. But really good service. Working with Lee and her team was really great experience, at least for me. And it really helped my business to grow as well. And then I also had warehouse supplies. Now this is all of my poly mailers, my poly bags, boxes if I had to purchase boxes for my storage. All that stuff dropped into $1,400. And then my move from the Seattle, Washington area to Florida, north of Tampa, cost me roughly $3,943. And most of that cost was actually moving my inventory. We moved a few of our personal items too, but most of it was moving my inventory. So I expensed that cost out of my profit. And so my total eBay profit for the year was $20,260. Now, once again, if I took out that moving expenses and did not have that, I would have made a profit of $24,000, which was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that kind of profit, especially for year 2 as a single operator in my business. So yeah, I would call that a success. That's a pretty good side hustle income. Of course, it doesn't cover all of my living expenses, but it definitely helps. Basically, I have a couple other side hustles combined with this, and that pays for my expenses. So it's a good business overall. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, and then one more thing that I was really curious about is what is my profit per sale? So what I did is I took my eBay profit and then I divided that by the number of items that I sold over the year, and that gave me a profit per sale. So look at my 2023 number right here. $9,396 was my profit. I sold 844 items for an average profit per sale of $11.13. Now look at 2024. Here I have a concerning trend once again, confirming that I need to fix this. My eBay profit of $20,260, divide that by sales of 2,494 items. A profit per sale of $8.12, a drop of $3 per item. Roughly, what, 25%, something like that. It basically coincides with my average selling price dropping. It coincides with my average payout per sale dropping in that chart that I showed you previously with a downward trend line. Yeah, so this is my big area of opportunity. I need to start sourcing things that will give me a higher average selling price. When I do that, it will drive up my average profit and things like that. Well, assuming that my cost of goods remains low. If my cost of goods here in Florida increases, which I suspect that they will, just because I'm going to start sourcing from garage sales and flea markets and things like that, my average cost of goods could go up to $3 to $4 per item. In that case, I'm going to have to increase my average selling price probably up to $35 to $40 per item in order to make sure I get a profit, in order to make sure my profit per sale is over $10 and approaching $15 per item, which is kind of where I want to be. So another interesting piece of data right there I thought you might be interested in. And finally, I want to check my expenses when it comes to my cost per item sold. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate that right now. We're going to add up all of my expenses that I have here in my P&L, and then I'll divide that by the number of items that I sold. I'm going to take out the moving expenses since that is not something that I plan on doing again, at least at a cost of $3,900. $4. I'm going to get a business expense per sale so I can include that when I'm considering my profit per sale. Okay, so here's my expenses per sale. It's a really interesting number. And honestly, this is something that we as eBay sellers should know for our business overall. This is my average expense per sale. Now you add this to my average cost of goods per sale, and that will give you an average profit per sale. So for example, if I get an eBay payout of, let's say, $15, I know that my average expense was $2.47. Average it, make it $2.50 for easy math. And if my cost of goods on that item was $1.50, that was a total cost of $4, including cost of goods and expenses to run my business. Subtract that from $15 eBay payout. That means that item profited me $11. So that's how I look at it. So this is a really good number to know. You can see, so what I did is I added up all my expenses in my P&L right down here below, except for the warehouse moving cost. So it was a total $6,170 in expenses, divided by 2,494 items sold. It gives me an expense per sale of $2.47. So that's the number I'm going to use going forward. In 2023, it was actually higher than I thought, but I forgot that I also bought a laptop at the end of 2023. I needed a new laptop. Also in 2023, of course, my business was growing, so I was buying new equipment. I bought a new label printer, a new scale, and just a few things like that. But the laptop alone was over $1,000. So anyways, you divide all my total expenses for 2023, and my expense per sale was $360. If you took out the laptop cost, my expense per sale would have been roughly $2.40. So anyways, it's really good numbers to know. Well, that is my 2024 year selling on eBay. Overall, a good year, a good experience. I continue to have sales despite not listing every single day. It continues to bring in an income even though I'm not super active in my store. I do log into my store every single day, respond to customers, and of course I send out offers, things like that. And I'm still getting 6 to 7, sometimes 10 sales per day. Not huge, but it is helpful, especially when I'm not doing a lot of sourcing and listing at this point. I do plan on ramping up my store once again. My goal is to have, by the end of the year, 5,000 items in my store, and my goal is to have an average selling price of $35 per item, which is going to be a huge uptick of what I'm doing right now, but I know I can do it. I still have to figure out my sourcing here in Florida. I have gone to some thrift stores and some flea markets and bought a few items here and there, but I haven't found a really good honey hole, and I haven't been to the Goodwill bins down in Tampa since I got here, so I will do that eventually. But once I get into a routine of sourcing and listing like crazy, I will include some videos of that. But for now, my goal is to continue to increase my store. I'd like to get it up to 5,000 items. I'd like to be bringing in a profit of $4,000 per month. That would be great if I could do that. I can get rid of my other side hustles and basically live mostly off of my eBay business, which would be great. I would love that. So that's my year. Tell me how your business is going in the comments below. Once again, remember, if you're interested in my store, I do have a link below. Go ahead and check that out. If you're curious about the listing company I use, Thrive.ph, check out the link below for that. Also, I do have links to all of the equipment that I use in my business, everything from lights in my photo setup to my scale to my printer. I have links to all of that. They are affiliate links, and I will get a small kickback, which supports the channel, and I really appreciate that. Otherwise, I just hope that you continue to have great sales. Here's to 2025. Let's really grow our business and use our business to create the lifestyle that we want to have. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.